Impact confirmed. The Slayer has been activated.
Demonic threat level increasing.
Hold the line!
All the power of hell cowering before one man.
id Software presents Doom, The Dark Ages. Available now on Xbox Series X and S, PlayStation 5, and PC.
Rated M for mature.
It's the Friday News Roundup. We're talking about Larry Krasner's landslide win in the Democratic primary for district attorney. A former Philadelphia police officer has been convicted for the 2023 killing of Eddie Irizarry. And the birds will keep pushing. It's Friday, May 23rd. I'm Trenae Nuri, and here's what Philly's been talking about all week. Joining me this week at the Filler Club is CityCast Philly executive producer Matt Katz. Hey, Matt.
What's up, Trenae?
The primary election was Tuesday, and as of Thursday, with 99% of the divisions reporting, incumbent district attorney Larry Krasner won with 64.28% of the vote over former Judge Pat Dugan's 35.58%. A lot of numbers, but you know what it is.
Yeah.
District Attorney Larry Krasner won the Democratic primary.
It's basically a landslide. I mean, the last time Krasner ran, 2021, in the primary against Carlos Vega, he won 66.79%, so a little bit more dominant that time around. Most of the election awards this year in the Northeast and 2 in a section of Deep South Philly backed Dugan, the challenger, while the rest of the city supported Krasner.
It was an exciting night on election night because we were at the Pipeline, the co-working space right across from City Hall. Lots of people were at the Krasner party, journalists and city council members. So it was cool to kind of get a sneak peek of what happens on election night. I've never been to one of those. And we saw Krasner like an hour before the results were called. Yeah,
the polls were closed, but the results hadn't come in yet. And we had found a little office where we could do our show from. And then we saw Krasner through a window sitting alone. I mean, all these people were packed in the place, but he was sitting alone looking at his phone. You said he looked a little tense. I mean, the campaign expected to win, but you never know what could happen on election night. So it was cool to kind of see that behind the scenes moment of a guy trying to win a third term and, waiting on his fate. That space is pretty sweet. I mean, you get a view of City Hall from the pipeline there, and there was something metaphorical about that. This is an extremely powerful person getting reelected. Some say more powerful than the people in City Hall, and that, he's in charge of prosecuting thousands and thousands of people every year and guides our criminal justice policies in the city. So, a lot of energy in the room at that party. But there's one wrinkle going on with this race. We're not totally done. So Krasner goes on to the November election. There's no official Republican candidate, but Dugan was written in by some Republicans, even though Dugan is a Democrat, a anti-MAGA, anti-Trump Democrat. But Republicans couldn't find their own candidate, so they're trying to get Dugan to run in November. And apparently there were a lot of write-in votes. They're still counting the votes. But if Dugan got 1,000 write-in votes, which we assume he did, but we don't know yet, he could run in November as a Republican. And sources told WHYY that his campaign, which had initially disavowed any chance of him running as a Republican, is now considering this.
Oh.
Yeah. So it would still be an uphill battle, right? But he would do better, presumably, than he did in the primary, because now he's going to have Republicans supporting him in a general election. I mean, still very hard to win as a Republican citywide in this very, very blue Democratic city. But Dugan has money. He raised far more money than Krasner during the campaign. He has support from the labor unions in the city. And if something, particularly controversial happens with Krasner as DA over the next 6 months, he might, have an opening there. So we'll keep an eye on what Dugan says here in terms of whether he's willing to have his name on the Republican ballot.
See, this is interesting, though, because if you look at the other numbers, like the voter turnout, that was so low. And I'm wondering why.
Yeah.
6 months ago, we had Oprah. We had all these celebrities in town for the presidential election. Just 6 months later, what? Everybody was sleeping. Everyone was busy taking a day off on election day. Like, why weren't people at the polls for this election?
I mean, I think there's a couple of reasons. I think our politics and news is so nationalized, and whatever's going on with Trump is just all consuming, and that people just unfortunately aren't paying attention as much to what's happening locally, aren't listening to CityCast Philly enough or often enough to be engaged with the issues happening. And the other piece of it is clearly that there's just not a whole lot of anger at Krasner. If there was, people would come out and vote against him. People are, I guess, comfortable with the status quo or don't think that there's any chance of changing the status quo. So they stayed home in extremely large numbers. They stayed home because, 15% of registered people voted.
But where was the push to get people to the polls?
I mean,
or was that part of the strategy?
I mean, I saw 0 Krasner campaign signs. 0. You wouldn't know there was an election. If you weren't paying attention to the news, you wouldn't know by being on the streets or, there were no flyers coming through people's mailboxes. Very few. I saw one. There weren't many commercials. Dugan had one, but Krasner didn't have any. So this was a very low profile race.
And as we were watching that race, there were some tight margins between the judge candidates for Court of Common Pleas, which was really interesting throughout the night because it was 10 names on the ballot, 9 spots. And these are the judges who are making decisions that are going to impact us as Philadelphians. Sentencing in criminal cases, custody decisions, child support, divorce, or landlord-tenant disputes, right? So that was pretty tight. And then the race among the candidates for municipal judge, if we're looking over at vote.phila.gov, Amanda Davison, Sherry Cohen, and Cortez Patton were the top candidates in that race. No Republican candidates.
Yep. The Philadelphia Bar Association's list of recommended candidates did do well in the Common Pleas election. The only candidate who is listed as not recommended lost. So all of the recommended candidates did win. And the one other note here, the 3 ballot questions, which was also something that people saw when they walked into the voting booth on Tuesday. That's funding for affordable housing, the creation of a homelessness watchdog, and the creation of a prison oversight board. All of those were approved.
We've got more news after the break.
¿Hablas español?
Sprichst du Deutsch?
Kann du Norsk?
If you've heard that sound from Babbel before, I bet you do. Babbel is the science-backed language learning app that actually works. With quick 10-minute lessons handcrafted by over 200 language experts, Babbel gets you on your way to speaking a new language in just a few weeks. With over 16 million subscriptions sold and a 20-day money-back guarantee, just start speaking another language with Babbel. Right now, up to 55% off your Babbel subscription at babbel.com/Spotify podcast. Spelled BABBEL.com/Spotify podcast. Rules and restrictions may apply.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. I don't know if you knew this, but anyone can get the same premium wireless for $15 a month plan that I've been enjoying. It's not just for celebrities. So do like I did and have one of your assistants switch you to Mint Mobile today. I'm told it's super easy to do at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
Matt, you've got an update for us on this prosecution of Mark Dial, a former Philly police officer who's accused of shooting and killing a driver, Eddie Irizarry, in Kensington back in 2023.
And we got a verdict in this case late on Thursday. Former Officer Dial was convicted of voluntary manslaughter for killing Irizarry, but he was acquitted on the more serious third-degree murder charge that would have carried a longer prison sentence. So here's the background on this situation. Dial and his partner had followed Irizarry after he ran a red light in Kensington. Then Dial claimed that as he approached Irizarry's car, his partner yelled gun, and then Dial thought that Irizarry was pointing a gun at him. This is what Dial had testified to this week in court. So Dial then fired several shots into the windows of the car. He hit Irizarry 6 times. Turns out there was no gun in the car, but there was a 7-inch folding knife. And as Dial talked about this during testimony in court this week, he cried. That was according to the Inquirer's reporting. He said he didn't want to fire his gun that day, but he also didn't want to get shot in the face. And I watched the body cam footage of this incident, Trenae, and it happened so quickly, seconds, right? Dial approaches the car, all the windows are closed, the door's shut, and Dial says, "Show me your hands, I'll fucking shoot you." And then he does just that. Dial, after this incident, was fired by the then police commissioner for not cooperating with an internal investigation into the incident. And police had initially said that Irizarry lunged at Dial with a knife. But again, the body-worn camera footage clearly shows that wasn't the case. That wasn't true. The trial was just 2.5 days, and it took the jury of 10 women and 2 men just 8 hours to decide to convict on the voluntary manslaughter charge. He was also convicted of possession of an instrument of crime and recklessly endangering another person. He was found not guilty of the third-degree murder charge and official oppression. Dial is a third-generation Philadelphia cop. He had been previously charged for this case, but a judge had dismissed those charges, saying there wasn't enough evidence. And that ruling led to protests and looting in different parts of the city. But then DA Krasner refiled the charges. So obviously, this is part of Krasner's objective as a DA. He wants to go after, pursue, prosecute police misconduct and police killings. And this is certainly a high-profile case in that regard. Dial is allowed to be free on bail until his resentencing, which is July 17th.
This week, Matt, family and supporters of Irizarry were protesting outside of the courthouse, demanding justice in this case.
What's interesting is this is the kind of situation that before body-worn cameras, it likely nothing would have happened here. I mean, the cop would have said he thought he saw a gun, his life was in danger. And, in the past, this is the kind of thing that would have just resulted in the tragic death of a person without a gun, and the city would have moved on. But because of a police rule requiring the cops to have body-worn cameras on them, we could see, and prosecutors could see, that the way that Dial claimed the incident had gone down was contrary to what appears to have happened based on the video footage. So that is just a really interesting difference in terms of the era we're in when it comes to police accountability.
All right, we'll be back after this break.
Fellas, you know Degree Cool Rush deodorant, right? Well, last year they changed the formula, and guys were mad about it. One dude even started a petition. So guess what? Degree heard us, admitted they messed up, and brought the original Cool Rush scent back exactly how it was. And it's in Walmart, Target, and other stores now for under $4. So grab some and remember why its cool, crisp, and fresh scent made it the #1 men's antiperspirant for the last decade. Degree Cool Rush is back, and it smells like victory for all of us.
Parents of tweens, if you're familiar with far-off drop-offs...
Dad, stop, right here.
Or get DMs about what's for dinner, you may be experiencing tween milestones. For your son or daughter, these can start at age 9. HPV vaccination, a type of cancer prevention against certain HPV-related cancers, can start then too.
For most, HPV clears on its own. But for those who don't clear the virus, it can cause certain cancers later in life.
Embrace this phase. Help protect them in the next.
Ask their doctor today about HPV vaccination. Brought to you by Merck.
Matt, they try to ban the Tush Push.
Oh, my God. I spent the last 48 hours just coming up with different headlines.
I know. Everyone's used every push idiom you could think of.
Yeah, but Siani in our Hey Philly newsletter had the best one. Kiss our tush.
Kiss our tush.
Hey, it was, hey, NFL, kiss our tush.
I mean, talk about hating.
I know.
Woo.
Push it.
22
real good.
teams voted in favor of the ban, but they needed 24 to make it happen, and they didn't.
So there was this NFL meeting where all the owners get together, all these big muckety-mucks get together and decide on new rules for the new season, and a bunch of haters among these NFL teams decided to make a proposal to ban the Tush Push, which has propelled the Eagles to such success over the last couple of seasons. It's basically a quarterback sneak involving the whole offensive line pushing Jalen across the first down marker or for a touchdown.
And so the argument is that the Tush Push is too dangerous for players. But I was curious. I was like, is there scientific evidence to support this claim? And the NFL said there were no injuries from this play and no data that it's dangerous.
Yep. And the Eagles flew Jason Kelce, our king, out to this NFL meeting in Minneapolis to make the case that it was safe and to work the room. And basically Kelce said, listen, if I could just do the Tush Push as a job, I would, because it's so safe. I wouldn't have needed to retire. So that maybe helped us too. I was thinking about Kelce being out in the owners' meeting, and all I could think of was a little speech that Kelce did when we won the Super Bowl 2 times ago. And I think it's so appropriate to be used in this context.
No one likes us. No one likes us. No one likes us. We don't care. We're for Philly. Fucking Philly. No one likes us. We don't care. No one likes us. No one likes us. No one likes us. We don't care. We're for Philly. Fucking Philly. No one likes us. We don't care.
No one likes us.
I was just picturing Kelce in this meeting with the NFL owners wearing his mummer's costume and coming in.
He definitely did not wear that costume.
Comes into the room. He's like, no one likes us. We don't fucking care. And then chants EAGLES. And then Jeffrey Lurie's in the back of the room. And he goes, go Birds. And then we win the vote.
Oh, man. Good times. Speaking of good times, it's Memorial Day weekend.
Woohoo.
You got plans?
Yeah, I am planning to join the rest of Philadelphia and wait in traffic on the Atlantic City Expressway to go down the shore.
What time you leaving, though?
I mean, this is like the only thing that my family and I have been discussing all week. I feel like that's part of the ritual of going down the shore, is trying to game out what time to leave. Mm-hmm. And everybody wants to know what time you're leaving. And if you tell somebody, oh, I'm going down the shore this weekend, they ask exactly what you just asked, which is, okay, what time are you leaving? Not where you're going. It's what time you're leaving. What's your plan? All right, so Axios Philadelphia had a pretty good primer on this week. They said the best time to drive down the shore this weekend is before 11 a.m. on Friday.
Oh, for sure.
Right, but who the hell can do that? So that's obviously hard to do. The other option is to go before 1 p.m. on Sunday. Maybe you're making a day trip, so that makes sense. Or before 2 p.m. on Monday. Get that. So the worst times are Friday, noon to 8. So you can't even leave like early Friday afternoon.
You just have to be like, you know what? I'm sick today.
Right. I am. It's funny you mention that. I got a little tickle in the throat
you're
right now.
my boss. So hey guys, I just step out a little bit earlier today. Yes.
I don't need your permission. And then when you're coming back, the worst time is obviously between 4 and 7 p.m. on Monday. I like the people who stay until crack of dawn Tuesday morning and then just gun it home and drop the kids off at school and are able to like start the day. But that's hard to do because then you have to wake up at like 5. What are you doing? You going down the shore?
No, I'm not going down to the shore. I will be going to an art show downtown, popping in, saying hi to friends. And then, I don't know what else I'm doing. It's just one of those weekends where I, like, literally Memorial Day snuck up on me. And I'm like, crap, I never planned anything. I do want to say that MLK Drive will be closed to vehicles and open for recreation all Memorial Day weekend. So on Saturday through Monday, you can walk, bike, skate, rollerblade, whatever on MLK Drive.
My opinion is it should always be open only for recreational activities.
It's a pretty nice shortcut if I need to get from Northwest to West Philly.
Fair.
No one's on that road.
It's true. It is a good
and it's
loophole.
Smooth.
It is.
There's
It
no
is
potholes.
That's true. It really, and it's not. It doesn't have that like you're on like some sort of dangerous racetrack situation that Kelly Drive feels like.
Oh yeah, Kelly Drive is Kelly Drive. Lincoln Drive is a racetrack.
Nuts. I distinctly remember the first time I drove Lincoln Drive, and I could not believe that this is an actual legal roadway. It's so crazy.
It is crazy.
Then there's intersections in the middle of what's essentially a racetrack.
Yeah. Welcome to Philly. Well, we hope you all have a great Memorial Day weekend, and we'll see you on Tuesday.
Have a great weekend,
well,
everybody.
You really won't see me, but you'll hear me on Tuesday.
Will.
Thanks, Matt.
Thanks, Trenae.
That's all for today here on CityCast Philly. Our executive producer is Matt Katz. Our producer is Abby Fritz. Our Hey Philly newsletter editor is Siani Colon. And our host is me, Trenae Nuri. Music is by Philly's own Interminable, with additional music from all the kimonos. If you enjoyed this week of episodes, please share with a friend, rate the show, leave us a review, and subscribe to our morning newsletter, Hey Philly. We'll be back Tuesday morning because we're observing Memorial Day on Monday, but we'll have more news from around the city next week. Have a great weekend and be safe, y'all. Bye.